Hello, this is Rachel from 7 and All, and today I am going to bring you my August homeschool recap and update, sharing what we've been up to in our homeschool in August, a little bit of life updates worked into that, and I will finish it off with a quick pregnancy update as well. Picture overview of this month. This was mostly a month of staying home and getting the work of life and homeschool done. My husband is a teacher and he's fully back to work in the school year full time, and his school year is in full swing, and so is our school year as well. So we've been staying home, we've been getting the work done. I shared in my last video that my sister, who is in 12th grade, was moving away this month, and she did. She and my parents went to China and spent time there getting her settled in. So she is just in the first few weeks of starting off her senior year, working as a nanny for my nephew and also continuing her own homeschool on her own over there. So we had emotional goodbye days with all of that, saying goodbye to her. But beyond that, we've just been staying home and getting the work done. I'm gonna highlight a couple of the resources we've been using and just share how school is going in a couple different subjects. Won't talk about everything because we don't want this video to be way too long. All right, first of all, I'm gonna talk about math. You all know that I love math with confidence. We've been using it very happily thus far. I just wanna point out one thing I'm really appreciating lately, which is the first section of every lesson. Every lesson begins with a warm-up, which at this level, they're saying counting, memory work, and review. There's memory work that you're always working on. There's always some review concept or counting concept. And the reason I love this is because this does not come naturally to me. I do not naturally tend to think of things like, oh, let's practice counting by twos. Let's practice counting by fives, or let's review the days of the week. I'm the kind of person who much more thinks, you've heard the days of the week before, there's no reason to practice saying those again. But that's not actually very realistic when you're teaching a kindergartner. Most kindergartners are going to need to practice counting by twos. They're going to need to practice counting to 100. They're going to need to practice their days of the week and how much is a penny worth, how much is a nickel worth, these little facts. So I love that these lessons start with prompts for me as the teacher to be like, yes, I'm seeing the benefit, I'm seeing the fruit of doing the reviews, I'm gonna keep doing them. It's not that I don't believe in review, it just isn't something I tend to naturally remember to do. But since it's in the book, I do it and I'm seeing the fruit of it. So that's just something I'm really appreciating about this teacher guide lately. One of the big core themes for our kindergarten year is a study around the world, and I'm using the Beautiful Feet Books guide for that. We're actually getting fairly close to the end of part 1 of Around the World because we started this in March, I believe. So we've been working on it for some months now. Beginning of August, we finished up Australia, which was really extra fun because my dad had recently traveled to Australia and was able to bring back some coins that my boys could see and see who was on the coins, what pictures they had, and even just some travel brochures with photographs. And some boomerangs. So he was able to bring back just some fun extra stuff. We also were able to get local snacks because we do get Australian imports here. So we had the famous Tim Tams for snack, and my boys discovered that they love Tim Tams, which is a little bit of bad news because my husband also loves Tim Tams, and he does get them for himself as a treat sometimes, but he normally hides them and they're kind of a special treat for him. But now the boys discovered that they love them. So it might be a little bit harder for my husband to have his special separate treat now that the boys know what Tim Tams are. After that, in Beautiful Feet, you start moving into African countries. And you begin with the North African countries of Morocco and Egypt. So we are enjoying using this book, which was not part of Beautiful Feet Books, but it was a recommendation from Heritage Mom, Africa, Amazing Africa. It just has typically about 1 page per each country of Africa, but it's a nice little overview, gives some interesting facts and highlights about a country. A great thing to pair with other things as well in learning about the country. And one of my favorite books from the past couple of weeks of this study has been one that we read for Morocco, which is called Traveling Man, The Journey of Ibn Battuta. In reality, this is a fairly advanced book for my sons. There's not necessarily a ton of words, but the concepts are pretty advanced. You know, this is a historical journey across a very long distance, hundreds of years ago in a totally different part of history. I wouldn't say that they totally understood the significance of everything in this book, but they were very, very engaged with it, engaged with the adventure for sure. And I definitely see this book as a resource that we will be coming back to in future geography studies or in future history studies when we're studying this time period in history. I was very impressed with this resource. I've learned about this man before, and his journeys, but it really made it accessible to put it in a picture book format that's very, very engaging. For my 3-year-old, we are following Gentle and Classical Preschool this year, and that is just so fun. I am really enjoying getting to do it all over again with him. If you know the program, you know that it's all about the memory statement cards. I will link to their program below. These are a big part of the program, and I just keep them all in this little pouch, and then we go through them every day, talk about them, talk about the little concepts we're learning, discuss whatever we're learning about. We're learning some numbers, learning some letters, learning catechism songs and Bible verse songs. He engages really well with the cards. We love these. Keep them here. I grab them for our morning time. Works very well. I would not say that I'm seeing him totally mastering his alphabet and numbers at this stage in preschool, and that does not bother me at all, not in the slightest. I do not approach preschool with the idea of, oh, the goal here is mastering numbers and mastering letters. He will master them at some point. I don't get to determine when that point is. We're just working on them. We're building exposure. We're building these little seeds of ideas of, hey, these are what the numbers look like. You can count, but hey, let's take that counting and attach it to the concept of written numbers. Hey, these are our letters, and these are all different words that you know, and they have letters in them. Here's your name. We're building the seeds of these ideas. We're having a lot of fun. We're building good habits of being able to sit down, focus on something, follow instructions, and it also just gives me intentional quality time with him. One of our favorite books from the past couple weeks of preschool was Jabari Jumps. I think I've talked about this before because I have read this quite a few times with my boys. The story of this, which is a little boy getting up the courage to jump off the diving board for the first time. It is so engaging and so relatable for my boys. They really love this book. And I shared this on my communities tab already, but I just have to show off a little bit. I said I wanted to learn something about quilting this year. And for preschool, when we had our letter Q week and our book about a quilt, I actually made a quilt with my boys. It is a baby quilt, baby size quilt. It is totally just scraps of material. It was low investment. It was as simple as it could be. My boys were on my lap or right next to me for every stage of the process. They were pushing the levers, turning the wheel on my sewing machine, helping me cut some of the fabric, helping me cut the threads off when we finished. So doing a very small scale and very simple quilting project was great for me as a beginner to quilting, but also great as a way to really genuinely incorporate them in the project, but make something real. We made a quilt for their baby brother, and they are very proud of it. Now for Spanish, for my older son, we finished level 1 of llamitas this month. He enjoyed it greatly. The last unit is about space, which I haven't taught him much about space yet in any language, so that was very unfamiliar, new information. He was very intrigued by it. I do have level 2 of llamitas, but we will not be going directly into level 2. He's only 5 years old, he's in kindergarten, and level 2 is more aimed at a first grade level. So because we finished this kind of early, I'm just gonna be using this time to focus on building literacy skills in Spanish with him. So what we've started using, and just in the past about 2 weeks, been very consistent with being able to use La Patapita, which is a reading primer. So you're learning either words or sounds, you're learning the consonants and the syllabus that go with them. We're slowly working through this. In addition, I wanted something like Explode the Code, something that reminded me of Explode the Code for Spanish, because Explode the Code has been a great resource for him in English. So I went on Teachers Pay Teachers and I found a bundle of palabras bisyllabas, kind of work pages that had a variety of different work pages where they're figuring out what's the correct word that matches a picture, or needing to write the word, or needing to paste the word. And then as you go through it, there's putting 2 of the correct syllables together. There's quite a variety. I will link to that bundle down below. And we've been using this, and I definitely see getting him interacting with the words is helping us to make some progress with that Spanish literacy. Then we've been using, I showed these in my morning time video. I've just been having him every day. We're going to practice a Spanish song. And this month he has mastered being able to sing La Araña Pequeñita by himself and Los Pollitos Dicen. He can sing all by himself. He was already familiar with listening to these songs, but he wouldn't actually sing them on his own. But with consistent practice, he now can sing them. And we're currently working on Estrellita, Little Star. I will be continuing just to weave in the little readers from level 1 of Llamitas for reading practice as we're growing in his ability to actually decode Spanish words rather than just remember them. And that's how we're doing for Spanish. Now, for more of my personal update, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I've actually been sick for like at least 2 weeks by now with congestion and cold that's I'm just having a hard time getting over. But, you know, life continues, work continues. I was able to release a new product on the Where'd You Learn That website, a new literature guide, which is for the Return of the King, the 3rd in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I've been just reading and studying and writing about Tolkien's books for the past couple of months. It's been great. I'm also excited to get on to a different genre of literature for our next guide. But you can find all of our literature guides available on where'dyoulearnthat.com. And for my pregnancy, we reached a great milestone, which is 24 weeks along. But at the same time as reaching that milestone, we also found out that I'm starting to have physical symptoms of early labor, of the body getting ready to go into labor, which is not really what you want to have at 24 weeks pregnant. So that is meaning some changes and new protocol and treatment medication that I'll be going on for the next foreseeable weeks, because we definitely want to prevent and reduce the risk of preterm labor anytime soon until we get much closer to the due date. So this is not totally new ground for me. I actually had the same condition and issue with my pregnancy with my oldest son, and followed the same protocol, same medication and treatment, and he was born full term. So that gives me a lot of hope and assurance that, hey, you know, my body responded well to this before. We can do this again. What does give me some pause is the fact that with my oldest son, I was 28 weeks along when we started going down this path. And right now I'm only 24 weeks along. So I'm like, wait. It's just 4 weeks, but that feels like a pretty big difference when you're thinking about how tiny and fragile these babies are. So yeah, that's weighing on my heart. That is affecting, that will kind of affect everyday life for a little bit. But I know we have prayed for this baby since before he even existed. We have many family members, many friends praying for us. We have a great support system. So with me needing to rest more and reduce activity as much as possible, I have great family and friends locally. I can do that. I have the freedom and ability to do that, to do what I need to take care of myself and baby right now. So that is something I'm incredibly grateful for, because I know that not everyone has that at all. I'm very thankful, and we shall see what the next months and weeks hold. But our hope is that we still have several more months of relatively normal life before we welcome our little one close to the end of the year. All right, that's my update for this month. I will be seeing you. Bye.